Hey, friends, welcome back to the Call to Lead podcast. So, in today's episode, I'm going to be continuing the series about the three things that are likely holding you back in your business if you're not seeing growth in your business. And so, today I'm going to tackle what might be a little bit of an elephant in the room, and that is going all in, whether it's with Restore or whatever company that you're a part of. Could it be that you not going all in towards your goals, towards the products that you love, towards what the Lord has for you next? What if your fear of putting all your eggs in one basket, or your fear of what if I'm not successful in this? What if that is what's holding you back from something that can be one of the biggest blessings in your life and in your business? And so I'm going to be talking about the hard things today, but don't worry, I'm going to be doing it through the lens of grace. And you might be surprised by what some of the things that I have to say about what going all in can and should look like, especially if you're with the Restore Collective. So let's dive into this week's episode. Here we go. Okay, so let's dive in. So I know in the episode 2 weeks ago, before I took my little break in sharing my money breakdown with you guys, I asked you a question, which is just to get really honest with where you are in your business right now, whether you're listening to this in real time or years down the road. Are you seeing growth in your business? And if you're not, could there be some blind spots or things that you maybe have or haven't thought about or haven't wanted to think about in your business that could be the catalyst for growth if you can see these and embrace them and implement them into your business? And so I want to start by sharing a story around the power of what it looks like to go all in with your business, and actually share one of the biggest mistakes that I made in my network marketing leadership journey back in the day. So you may have heard this story before. If not, I'm going to share it again. I think it's a really powerful one. But one of our founding partner mentors, Colleen, she was a total dream teammate of mine. Funny enough, the first time she bought the makeup from me, I totally matched her the wrong colors. She returned the product, didn't buy it again for like a year or more later, still the wrong colors, but thankfully she liked it enough. She not only decided to host a party, but I did decide to flip her into not just being a hostess, but with being a distributor, even though she was a top leader at another company at the time. And I was actually one of her favorite and best customers, right? And so I loved the company that she was with, but of course I wanted her on my team. And so she did have a killer party. She did great from that, but she didn't do much after that because she was rightly going all in with the business that was already a blessing to her family. And so it wasn't until a year, or maybe even two down the road, after my constant persistence of inviting her to each of our conferences and just staying in touch and loving her where she was, that she hopped on a live video where I was actually rolling out the new team name along with one of my leaders, Tammy, and we changed the name of our team to Keep It Simple Sister. I'll never forget seeing Colleen pop onto that live. And I thought, so I know she hasn't been doing much, but I see her and I see her watching us. Maybe now's an opportunity to connect. And so I did. And she actually did express an interest to say, you know what, I really do want to do this. Do you think I can do them both? Meaning, can I still be successful in my other company's business and lead that and be successful here? And you guys, this is one of the biggest mistakes that I told her. I said, you know what? Yeah, I think you could. Because in that season of my life, I was trying to grow my own social media following. I had partnered with a company called Launch, that's like a hair tools company. And in my mind, even sharing something as simple as like an affiliate link, which, of course, if you're with Restore, we have basically the affiliate link version of that, which is our advocate program. But I thought, you know what, just sharing what you love. And, you can go in and go all in multiple companies and have success with that. And so she's like, okay. And so she tried it, and she spent the first few months kind of trying to balance or straddle the fence, if you will, of sharing both of those companies. And it wasn't until her amazing husband, Evan, that said and told her what I should have told her, which was, Colleen, you could be holding yourself back by trying to straddle both of these companies and trying to go to two different conferences and two different leadership retreats, and which calls do you show up to each week, and which parties do you host? There's only so much of your time to invest in this. And they had 4 little kids at this season in their life. He's like, what would happen if you picked whichever one you think? But he's like, but I have an idea which one you should pick. But he's like, which one? What would happen if you picked one and just went all in there? And so they thought and they prayed together and they aligned as a family around Evan's suggestion of going all in with the company that I was a part of. And that was a makeup company because he could see that the potential for how the business was done based on duplication and simplicity was a lot different than having to get a ton of inventory and like load up all these products to go to all these in-home classes and things that she was doing. And so she did. She went all in, and I'll never forget. She went to a Bob Hiley conference with me, and at that point, she didn't have any teamies. And I remember Bob said, "Stand up if you're a leader," and I made her stand up because I knew she was a leader and meant for this. And I knew that she was about to enter into this season of just amplification by going all in. And sure enough, within about 6 months from that conference, she had ranked to the top 2% of our company by going all in with her business. And so I know that that was a mistake for me to say, "Oh, yeah, you can do them both," and to lead her in that way, trying to kind of pacify what felt like the easy or, right thing to do, especially if she was afraid of having to rebuild and to do it all over again at a brand new company, because that's exactly what she was going to have to do. And so I was wrong, and I admit that now. And my advice, if I could go back now, would be the advice that I'm sharing with you is what would happen to your business if you chose to go all in with whatever company you're in? And you guys, yes, of course, I would love for that to be Restore Collective if you are doing Restore Collective and another company. But I'm not even saying you have to. Could Restore Collective or whatever other shiny new object out there that you're trying to represent in multiple, companies, could that be holding you back from growth in another company or in another business? And my heart is to have you be successful, whether that's with Restore Collective or not. And I truly know and believe this with all my heart that if you're not going all in with your heart, with your goals, with your passion, with your time, it's going to be very challenging for you to see growth in your business. And I'm going to share 4 reasons why with you today. And so the first reason why is you might be comparing your ending at that one company with your beginning at another. And I know how hard this is because I had an amazing ending. Well, I didn't have an amazing ending, but when I decided to let my, distributorship go at the other company to start this business, it was certainly a tough one because even the residual income that I had, even from the just affiliate side without the direct sales, could have been a blessing to our family. But I knew that it wasn't, well, number one, the right thing to do to build a company making an income with a competitor, right? So I chose to, about a year ago, I guess it was, to let that company go. And I know it was the right thing to do because it allowed me to go all in and it allowed me to focus my energy into this business. But it would be a mistake for me to assume, especially if I was on the leadership side, but definitely also on the corporate side, that I could build what took me 8 years to build there, a team of 4,500. And yes, it was, multiple 6-figure income at that point, with that company. But it would be a mistake to think that I could just turn around and do that again immediately as a leader or as an owner of a company. And what's crazy is we still don't have 4,500 distributors in Restore Collective, and I'm okay with that. And the reason that I am okay with that is because Roger and I have a crazy long-term vision to know that if we do this in the right way, not only can we surpass that 4,500 and more, and certainly we have much bigger goals than that with this company in the long term, but I also know the way we're going to get there is by doing the hard work, by equipping you guys to do the hard work, and to love and serve our customers, our advocates, and our partners one at a time, and create systems that duplicate and products that people love, and focus on the servant leadership that is going to get us there in the future. So is it going to take work, even for us on the corporate side, to build this and grow this into what it was? Absolutely. And if you have done this before, I know it's not ideal to hear, but it is going to take that same level of work and growth in your business. Your entire team is not likely to follow you into this business. I know that we want them to, and that would be great, but everybody's got a different path and a purpose and a plan laid out for their lives. And not everybody could wait around a year, right, for Restore to open. Some people have gone in all in at other places, and that is wonderful for them. Some people are just fine with the affiliate side, and maybe they've been hurt and burned by the direct sales model, and that's okay too. But for those of us, if you're like me, and if you're listening to this podcast, that's likely you know the power of what's possible in the business of building up other leaders and duplication and leverage that can come from not just you having success in the business, but you helping others have success in the business. But it does not happen overnight. It does take time. And if you are trying to compare your ending at the other company, specifically when it comes to the income or the team size, with your beginning here, you're in for disappointment because those expectations are not going to be met. If you, again, if I had a team of 4,500 and was making multiple six figures in a month with doing, let's see, almost $2 million of volume, but yet my volume is not there yet now, I can't expect as a leader to be making that same level of income. Or same thing in personal sales wise. If I was selling a ton at the previous company and then we make a pivot right to something else, it's going to take time to build up that trust, especially if you're still dividing and sharing other companies and other brands, which is okay. And we'll talk more about that in a minute. So I'll dive into that. But the first thing I wanted to start with is, are you comparing your ending at your former company with your beginning at your new one, whether or not that's Restore Collective or not? And could that mindset and expectation be holding you back from what's possible if you put in that same level of work and growth and love and servant leadership and heart into this business and plant and grow your tree by going all in, if that is your long-term goal with whatever company that is? So the other side to that is, are you letting fear of the same thing happening again hold you back? Meaning the fear of how your company ended. And it's not just Saint. There were multiple other companies. It was heartbreaking what happened to our industry a year and a half ago. And in that beginning of 2024, when there were multiple companies, one after the other, that walked away from the business model, thanks to private equity and, founders that weren't all in. Well, first of all, I can tell you, I love this business model. I've seen the direct blessing that it can bring, and not just from the income, but from the impact that it's had on me as a person and the growth that I've seen in the community that it's built. And I love this model and I will fight for it for forever. And that's what we're building this as a foundation on. And yes, we do have the advocate program, which is a perfect affiliate option for those that want to share multiple products. Like I said, we'll talk about that in a second. And that's who it's designed for, is someone who doesn't really want to go all in or isn't able to go all in. And that's a great thing too. We welcome that. We know that might be the case for some people. But if you are afraid that the same thing is going to happen, or you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket, I want to share a story that was really inspiring for me as I was starting this journey. And it actually comes from a friend who is divorced. And I asked her in the season leading up to her husband leaving her, it turns out he was cheating on her. She did know that there were some cracks in the marriage, and she did know that some things, maybe weren't ideal. But I asked her, do you regret being all in until the end of that? And she said, no, I would do it all over again in a heartbeat, even if it was heartbreaking to have that be the end result. And so going all in is scary. It is. And none of us know the plan for what tomorrow brings. I know our heart. I know what we want to have happen. I know the dream that the Lord has put on our heart. And we invite anybody that wants to grow and go all in with Restore to be a part of that dream together. But if fear is what's holding you back from going all in, you're not going to be able to step into that season of growth and flourishing if that's the mindset that is holding you back from it. So don't be afraid, A, that it's going to happen again, B, that you can't do it again, or that you are not going to be successful in the business again. Because if you've done it before, you can do it again. I know that you can. You've got the proven model. And actually, I want to take this moment to shout out a Restore rock star, Tara Posegate. She's awesome. And I love this amazing story that I had the blessing of hearing straight from her words and her heart, and that she was really prayerful about whether, first of all, the Lord wanted her to go all in with Restore. And he gave her a clear, after doing a Daniel fast, he gave her a pretty clear, yes, you're supposed to go all in. And she wound up hosting she had a vendor event that was abysmal. She made one connection. Thankfully, that one connection did turn out to be a hostess of a beauty lab. She came in hot on two wheels with mismatched, mirrors, and didn't have everything together, but did a very simple and effective version of the systems that she knew and that she's learned from what we teach here at Restore with the Beauty Lab experience. And she coupled that with some hard lessons that she learned over her previous successful business which is to ask for the sale or assume the sale and just to say, okay, if you guys love it, here's, whip out your phones, scan the QR code, search for my name. Here are the most popular, starting points to get started in your business. And you guys, not only did she have like an hour and a half BLE, which is amazing, with 9 women, which is amazing, but 8 of the 9 ordered. And the ninth was like, I'm so sorry, I'm ready to order. I just want to run out of my existing product. And then I'm sure I will. But you guys, 8 out of 9, that is incredible conversion. And I know the reason she had success is one, she knew how to do this. She had been doing it. We had taught her, but she had also experienced what it looked like to do things like assume the sale. And if you've done it before, like Tara has, you can do it again. I can promise you. And if you haven't yet done it, that's a whole other conversation. We'll continue to teach you and learn from Tara's example in doing that. But you do have to do this. One customer, one partner, one advocate, one Beauty Lab experience. You've got to do it and the long and hard way. And know that if you listen to the last episode where I shared my exact money breakdown and my story and my testimony when it comes to money, you know that it wasn't like I was making 6 figures from the start in my business. And so can you get there? Yes. But did it take me going all in to be able to get there? Yeah, it did. It absolutely did. It involved me selling my business. I'm not saying you have to do that if you're a business owner, but that's what the Lord called me to do. And the minute that I did that, everything changed for my business. So could your comparing your past experiences to where you are now be what's holding you back in the business? The second reason is kind of tied to this, and that is, could those former teamies of yours be watching you and waiting and looking? And are you not going all in with your energy, with your excitement, with your heart on social media, even if you haven't seen the success that you had previously or that you would have hoped that you would have had by now? Could you not be going all in and sharing if you're showing up on social media with that energy, or in the conversations as you meet people if you're doing the more in-person route? Could that energy be what is preventing people who, trust me, are watching? I've had no less than 3 or 4 people that I remember talking to about a year ago about foundationally being a part of this Restore business that have circled back around to finally being interested because they are watching. They're not watching me on social, but they are watching you guys. And they are seeing what we're doing and they like what we're doing. And they want to be a part of something that's long-term, that's not just based on hype or this this quick get in rich, success narrative, which I know some companies have exemplified, but I can tell you that it's not always sustainable when you come in and when you build a business of like, everyone's triple ranking and quadruple ranking and look at this paycheck and look at this person. That gives people the expectation that that is what they're going to need or want when they come in. And what they're going to have to do, just like what you're going to have to do and what I'm doing, what we're all going to have to do, is do the hard things over and over and over again to serve your people well, to build this business one customer at a time. And it likely will take years, but if you've done it before, you can certainly get there again. And if you are not showing up with that energy, that could be what's holding your former people back from joining you. And it goes for customers, but it especially goes for prospective teamies in your business. So the next reason, the third reason, is kind of tied to that. And it's, could you be confusing your customers by sharing all different kinds of products? Now, hear my heart that I am all about you sharing what you love. And if that is a product from another company, I think that's amazing. Here's a perfect example of this. I'm going to be bold and share this with you guys. The Saint brush cleaner, still amazing. I love it. I have it right here if you're watching this on YouTube. And she's made an appearance at almost every road trip, every BLE that I have done since then. And I have no problem with that because it's a great product that we don't have yet. And so until that point, and if that point comes, this is a great thing to use and share because people can and do need to clean their brushes. And yes, there are some great options, like Cinema Secrets online is a really, really great brush cleanser that I have tried and loved as well. But I love sharing this one because it shows and proves that it's okay if you love a product, and especially if it's one that the new company you're with, whether that's Restore or not, doesn't have, or even if they do have, like we have a mascara in development, which I think most of you guys know that, which I'm excited about. I designed it specifically for my issue, which is every mascara I've ever tried leaves stripes except for tubing, and even some tubings do it. And so ours is a tubing mascara. But you might like a tubing mascara, or you might have another brand that you love and have been using for a decade. You have to completely convert, all of your personal favorites and the things that you share into one company. In fact, I remember when I started my mascara, which then of course became the Saint business, I was using Rodan and Fields skincare because one of my best friends was a distributor and I hadn't tried ours yet. And so I shared when I was doing my routines what I was using and what I was loving, even not as a distributor. I shared that I was using the Rodan and Fields skincare. And I know that that built authenticity and trust within my customers. But what I wasn't trying to do was like, okay, I needed an income and, I need to make $2,000 a month. My friend Trisha does Rodan and Fields, but I want to do, mascara. Let me be a distributor at both of these and try to market both of these products out there and build teams at both of these products. I didn't do that. I pointed to my friend who was selling the product. And I want to do another Restore Rockstar shout out. And this time, I actually want to shout out a customer because I think that's a powerful part of the story. And I will not name her name, but we actually had a dear friend of mine. She wasn't on my team, but a dear friend of mine who's been such a blessing with even developing some of the things because she's a beauty pro. And she finally was able to try the product as a customer. And I was so thrilled, first of all, that she absolutely loved it. She had great feedback and some really good suggestions that we're certainly taking into play to even make it better. But what I love the most is she had in the season, and she was with Saint formerly, she had in that kind of season of unrest and confusion, she had gone all in with another company and is building a team there and has experienced a great community and a brand and a culture in that company. And so she actually declined being even a free advocate, which would have been super easy for her to just sign, click here, get your loyalty link, share the product, which she did actually, I think, share the product in her stories. But guess what? She did not become a distributor. She pointed to the partner that had shared it with her. Again, I won't name names. And that, my friends, is just as much of a beautiful example of going all in. And that's not someone who chose to go all in at Restore. And I know the Lord will bless her because she's leading in his direction from that. But she can still be an amazing resource and an amazing customer for us in this business, even if that's not what she chooses to do. So hear my heart that number one, you can and will always be able to share multiple products, and be a distributor at multiple companies, should you choose. Freedom is one of our core value. But my question to you is, could you be confusing your customers and confusing your sideline teamies as well, or even especially if you've built a team, your teamie, if you're hyping the new releases and all the greatest new things of one company in an equal way to whatever new company, whether that's Restore or not, that you're a part of? Could you be creating confusion by dividing your eggs into the multiple baskets? And frankly, in these, tough financial times, dividing your customers' dollars, because if they're buying one new product, they're probably not going to be able to have the income to buy something, to start their business with you. And so just think about that and think about where you want your heart to be and what that looks like to go all in. And lastly, if you're not going all in on your business, it's going to be really difficult for you to get clarity on your goals for your business. So we talk about goals and setting clear, smart, measurable goals for your business and working towards them. But one of the biggest challenges, even if you are going all in with one company, whether that's Restore or not, it can be challenging to try to set multiple goals for your business, let alone set multiple goals for multiple businesses. And so I know this is probably what Colleen experienced when she was trying to divide her time between two companies is, which leadership retreat does she go for? Which conference does she attend? Where does she put her time and energy? Is it to grow the one company and grow the sales there? Or is it to help someone rank on her team at another company? And so you might be struggling with that same thing. And if you're not seeing growth in your business, could it be tied to not having clarity on your goals for your business? So think about that when and if you haven't gone all in, or even if you have, you should be setting one clear goal by asking yourself one question each and every month. What's the one game I want to play in my business this month? And an example of this is Tabitha Ruiz, who's one of our founding partner mentors. And you guys know we've talked about this. It was actually a question that we don't shout out the founding partner mentors in recognition, rank, or sales wise, because a part of their role as a founding partner mentor is to lift up and serve the entire field, not just their own branch. But I know Tabitha wouldn't mind me sharing this really cool story. So we were having a one-to-one just strategizing about what her goals were for a month. And I guess this was September. And I said, well, what do you want to do personally? And she said, well, I'd love to grow my personal business because they are working through the comp plan and getting paid on their personal sales, just like you guys are. So they can set the tone and they can also set an income for their family based on that. And so she said, I'd like to do a few beauty lab experiences and really focus on finding those 5 customers for myself. And so she had already hit momentum incentive, but she wanted to kind of take that energy. And not only did she set that goal for herself, but she invited her branch to do the same. She had a lot of new people who hadn't yet hit momentum incentive. And so she challenged everybody on her branch to go and do just that, to find 5 customers, whether that was with a beauty lab experience or doing in person or just showing up online, but to really focus on growing their personal sales in their business. And not only was Tabitha one of our top sellers, again, you wouldn't see her name listed, but she was one of our top sellers in the whole company that month by focusing on her personal sales. But it duplicated to her branch because they had a record growth month, which was really exciting. I think that's still, even that was the best month that they had done as a team, was by focusing on that collectively together. Now, imagine if Tabby was trying to focus on another business at the same time. And granted, she does work at another business. And so this, restore the time and energy that she has is, a part-time endeavor right now for her. So if she wasn't able to have a clear focus or a clear goal with her restore business that was something she could invite others to, it could be really confusing to her. And so that's just one example that I hope can be inspiring with, if you're part of Restore, set one goal. What's the game you want to play this month in your business? If you are a part of multiple companies and you haven't yet gone all in, then where could you see your goals or lack of clarity around which goal you really want? Where could you see that creating confusion and ultimately a lack of growth in your business? So, my friends, I hope that this has been helpful for you. And I hope that you could hear my heart that you going all in is for you in terms of helping seeing growth and results and profitability in your business. So let's wrap this up in prayer. Lord, thank you so much for just the bold wisdom that you have exemplified in my past experiences and those that have been on this journey with me, both here in Restore and in the past, to know what it looks like to go all in on the dreams and desires and the businesses that you put on our hearts that can be a blessing to our families if we just focus on the one thing in front of us and not trying to do all the things, or not trying to divide our eggs into multiple baskets if you haven't called us to do that. And to know that there is freedom and that my heart is in allowing people the freedom to work their business however they choose to feel inspired, but to also reflect on where they are in their business and where they want to be, and on some of these mindsets that might be holding them back from growth in their business. And I know the blessing of what it looks like to go all in, even if things are hard or confusing or unclear. When you give that direction and that clear next step, there's no doubt that you will continue to light up the path and guide the way. So I just ask you to do that for those listening. And thank you again for the blessing of being able to share this with everybody. And I can't wait to see the fruit and the results that it has on their business and in their family. In Jesus' name, amen. All right. Thank you guys. I hope you have an amazing week.